Hi there, Sandy here. Welcome to another jewelry tutorial at keepsakecrafts.net. Today I'm going to show you how easy it is to make this really pretty spring bracelet using some pressed glass beads and crackle beads. So I ordered these really cute little leaf and flower glass beads because I thought they would make such a pretty springtime bracelet. These are called pressed glass beads because they're actually pressed in a mold to give them the shape. The glass is pressed in there and you can often see a seam along the edges. So you get these pretty shapes. I love these leaves because they're actually not flat. I don't know if you can see that. They have a bit of an S-curve to them, so they're kind of interesting. And I thought I would just use some very soft springtime colors and some simple stringing. So once I had settled on my color palette, then it was time to decide how I was going to lay them out. And you can see up on the screen I have a photo of the first layout I tried, just having a leaf in between every two of the crackle beads and then one of the flowers in between each of those crackle beads. The flowers will be going on wrapped loop dangles, so those would go in between the white beads, alternating with the green ones. But I thought this layout was just a little too busy. So then I tried it this way, having 3 crackle beads in between every leaf bead. I like symmetry, so I found this one a little difficult to deal with because you can't center the flowers in between the leaves. But I thought maybe one flower on one side of each leaf, but I didn't really like that. So here you can see I left the 3 beads in between each leaf, but just clustered them so there's a flower on either side of one leaf and then a lone leaf. And that's a bit more symmetrical, and I kind of liked that. Then it was time to decide what I was going to put on the wire with the flowers. And I tried out nothing, just a silver ball head pin. I tried out the little pearl, you can see that on the right. And I tried out these little faceted, they're like 2.8 millimeter crystals. That's the one on the left, and that's the one I decided to go with. So now that I have my layout all decided, I can string on one end of my clasp. I'm using a toggle clasp here, but you can use whatever works for you. And I have on here a piece of French wire. I'll be doing a Friday Findings video with more detail on French wire, but it's basically a coil of very fine wire. And you use that instead of the wire protectors, which I often show you to use. And these are fine, but the French wire is just a really pretty, elegant look. So I've crimped this and added a crimp cover, and I'll show you how to do this on the other end. But before we start stringing our beads, we have to make our dangles. Let's scoot these out of the way so you can see what I'm doing. So I have some little silver ball head pins and those little 2.8 millimeter crystals. So we're just going to make little wrapped loop dangles. The crystal goes on the head pin and then the flower, and I'm grasping it with the very, very tips of my chain nose pliers because I just want a tiny little bend here. And then with the tips of my round nose pliers, and again you just need a tiny little loop, because it's stringing over wire, so you don't need a big loop for anything. Now I'm kind of disappointed in these head pins. I don't know if you can see that some of the metal is flaking away. These must have been some inexpensive ones. Probably got them at the craft store. I really prefer ordering nice ones like from Fire Mountain Gems. They're better quality. And then I'm just going to grab that wire and make a couple wraps in that space above the bead. If you want more details on how to make wrapped loops, I have a whole Friday Findings video on making wrapped loops. Once you get the wire trimmed, the best way I found to do it is hold the loop and use another pair of pliers to kind of tuck that end in. Just be careful, remember your bead is glass, so don't put too much pressure on it. And there's one little dangle, and just do that for the rest of them. So like in those photos I showed you earlier, I already kind of did some pre-testing and determined how many beads I need on my bracelet. So I'm going to begin and end with 2. I tell you, these crackle beads, it can be so hard to find the hole. It's kind of hiding in the crackles. Wait a minute, come back. And then one of my little leaf beads. Now if you didn't have a top drilled bead, if it was drilled through the center, then you could treat them the same way that you do these flower beads by making wrapped loops. I was happy not to have to spend the time. So now I'm going to add 2 more crackle beads and then one of my flower dangles. And I'm referring back to my photo to make sure I make the pattern the way I had planned it. And it's always my hope to inspire and encourage you with these videos, and if you've benefited, I hope you'll consider becoming a patron. You can support these tutorials with just $1 a month or whatever you can afford. And I do have drawings for my patrons. I have lots of extra goodies like downloadable templates and such for some of the projects, bonus videos. So check out my Patreon page if you're interested for the rewards you'll receive for helping out. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish stringing this on, and then I'll be back at the end to show you how to finish it up. It's really that simple. So here you can see I've done all my stringing, and of course you'll want to just double check and do some testing with your beads to get the right size. Don't forget that if you're using a lot of these dangles, although it doesn't look like much, it does add length to your bracelet. So once you're done and your bracelet is the length you want it, then you just go ahead and slide on a crimp. And by the way, you should cut your wire, your bead stringing wire, with plenty of extra length. I cut mine about 10 inches, and I probably should have cut it more like 11. It's a little close here. Then I'm going to slide on my French wire. Like I said, it's just a coil of wire, a little tube, which by the way, is a tube is a hollow cylinder. I've been seeing lots of people online calling like a snake of clay or just something cylindrical a tube, but a tube is hollow. So the crimp and either your French wire or the wire protector, and then the other piece of your clasp, whatever it is you're using. Okay, now this French wire wants to slide inside the crimp. It's that small, so I'm just going to keep my thumbnail here and keep the two separated as I tighten that up. And I'm sorry you can't see it under there, but what's happening now is that French wire made a teardrop shape. If I hadn't held onto it, it would have just slid right around. So I've been often asked by many of you how to get your final crimp, your second side, nice and tight. And my question always is, don't try to make it tight, because then your bracelet won't hang gracefully if you pull it too tight. So here's a good trick for building in some slack. You're going to wear the bracelet curved, right? So go ahead and curve it on your work surface as you're doing that. And then leave a little bit of slack here. Not much, just a little, even just the thickness of your tool to get in there. And I'm going to use the one-step crimper, but you can use just regular crimping pliers. If you want to learn more about these, I've done a video on them. Always test, make sure that's strong. And then you can trim that wire away right there. And of course you can leave it like that, and that's nice and neat. But I like to add a crimp cover. And I found the easiest way to manage those is use your crimping pliers, your regular ones. And those have the little curved spaces to pick up the crimp cover. Otherwise it shoots out, it's such a pain. So I'm just going to slide that over the crimp, gently squeeze it closed. And there you go, a really pretty springtime bracelet. So if you're interested in any of these supplies, in every single one of my project videos and Friday Findings videos, I always have an accompanying blog post with the supply list and links to products. It's the question you guys ask me the most on here. So make sure you go to the description box and you'll find the link to the blog post there. And then if you go there, there's a whole bunch of links. I'll have links to these little flower and leaf beads and to some of the other tools and supplies I used. So be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and take a peek at my Patreon page for how you can get great rewards and help support these tutorials. Happy creating. Bye-bye.